What's up, E.D.G family? I'm Kevin, and today we are going to be talking 2024 crowdfunding campaigns. These are crowdfunding campaigns that we all know about. They are coming at some point this year. Some of them we don't have an exact date on, and in fact, I didn't do to say like a top 10 list because I was looking at last year what I backed and just in general. And a lot of the games in the past I haven't known about in January or February. They've been campaigns announced much later in the year. So I don't want to put too much emphasis that these are going to be my favorite crowdfunding campaigns. I'm going to cover them all. Chances are I might cover half of these. I have a few of them that I'm interested in. I have some honorable mentions, but a lot of the time I won't know until the campaign actually drops, whether I plan on talking more about a game, whether I plan on backing it. But as of right now, these are the highest up on my list. And quick discussion, they're not all actually board games. There's a little bit, they're all board game content, but not all of them are actually board games. But we'll get this started with a few honorable mentions. I know a few people have talked, about some of these games on their preview videos. But we're going to start with this first one. It's Tiny Epic Game of Thrones by Gameland Games. I don't think we know a whole lot about this. I think we know what we can kind of expect from Gameland as far as the Tiny Epic series. I think we can kind of guess what kind of, theme and, mechanisms might be involved with a Game of Thrones type of game. I myself have, similar feelings that a lot of people of Game of Thrones. I do like the IP quite a bit. I think a lot of people, can complain about, the last couple seasons of the show. I'm sure there's tons of complaints about the last book from a ton of people. But I will say, all in all, Game of Thrones was a very enjoyable IP. They already have a very couple of successful board games, I believe. And I will say, it has me intrigued. I haven't backed the last couple Tiny Epic games. I do have a few of them in my collection, but the last couple haven't necessarily pulled me in. They're definitely ones I wanted to wait to see how people felt about them. From what I understand, this Game of Thrones type is supposed to be semi-familiar with, like, Tiny Epic Galaxy mechanics. I don't really know how that's going to work. I figured it'd be more like area control and maybe some bluffing and whatnot. But we will keep an eye on this one. Not sure when it is going to launch. Gameland's pretty, I feel like when they do their crowdfunding campaigns for Tiny Epics, they're usually earlier in the year or later in the year. So we'll have to see what happens with that. The next one I want to talk about is Cloudspire. Not specifically Cloudspire, the big box game, but Cloudspire, the 20 strong deck they are teasing in this Instagram post. Don't know a whole lot about it, but I will say I know there's a few different 20 strong campaigns going to be out this year. Tanglewoods is one of them. I will keep an eye on that, but it's not necessarily I am as excited about as a Cloudspire 20 strong deck. I really liked Cloudspire when it came out. I haven't tabled it quite as much as I want to recently, but I think a 20 strong deck that maybe captures some of the essence of Cloudspire is something I'm definitely interested in. So we will keep an eye on that. I believe that is a campaign we will see, fall time this year. The next one was one I debated on putting on my top 5. And I swapped it with another one at the last moment. We'll see. You'll kind of understand why as we go through this list. But I'm talking about Dying Light, the board game by Glass Cannon Unplugged. This is a board game based on a video game IP. In fact, I have friends that were just playing this yesterday. I was like, hey, they're doing a board game for this? And they really, really like this game. I didn't know too much about it. Obviously, it looks like, a zombie apocalypse game, and I have a few zombie games, so you're gonna have to do something different for me to get into, pull more zombie games into my collection. But I do say the thing that is the most intriguing about this one, I backed Apex Legends by Glass Cannon Unplugged, so I'm familiar with like the 3D terrain and everything like that. But the biggest part about this game, and I feel like when they teased this game a few years back, it was about the movement. It was, the climbing, all this stuff, and it's like, well, that's kind of hard to do in a board game. So I did look a little bit into this one, probably more than some of the other ones, just to see like, hey, how much should I be interested in this game? And, they are really trying to bring some of the feel of, moving around a map, doing specific actions, getting momentum. I like that they're using a dice. I don't know how much they got on this preview, but using a dice system where, you're allocating. I'll tell you right now, the pledges don't look awful bad. I don't know what the pledge levels are going to be on some of these, but this one is definitely one that I am interested in looking at. Like I said, I probably would have put it in my top 5, but a little bit of a spoiler, I just felt like I had too many video game IPs on this list, so I wanted to kind of put, you know, things other than video game IPs turned into board games on this crowdfunding list. But this is definitely something I'm interested in. I think it looks very, very good. A lot of different mechanics that generally aren't associated with, you know, action games, as far as, you know, the way you roll dice and whatnot. So I will be keeping an eye on this one. This one is crowdfunding in February. So, you know, if I cover it, I'm backing it. If I don't cover it, well, something happened and I decided not to back it. But that's why it's an honorable mention. The next one is the one I was going to swap with, and I actually know a lot less about this game than I do about Dying Light at the moment. Oh, that's not what I expected to see. We'll just go ahead and talk this one, though. We'll talk it. This is my number 5. It is not a board game. It is the Gametrayz Gametablz, and I'm excited for this one. I know that there's been a lot of, you know, smaller, low-end tables come to the market as far as crowdfunding campaigns go, but I will say this one being under $150, who knows what it's going to cost to ship it. Probably depends on where you're at. You know, it's a 4x3 table. They're going to have custom mats. They, you know, something portable. That's kind of what I'm looking at. I'm looking at something I can pick up, take somewhere, you know, do some gaming events, not, you know, not at home, out there, out in the world with people, doing, you know, some food, doing, you know, just having a good time. And so I looked at this and said this would be a great table for doing some pop-up events in the future. So that's something I'm definitely interested in. I might buy 2. We'll see what happens. But Gametrayz Gametablz, definitely excited about this one. Keeping my eye out on that. And now with that, the next one I am actually looking at was the one I expected to see, and that is DANTE Inferno on Gamefound. This is another one that is coming out this month, so we'll keep an eye on that one. What's really kind of got me, I think, pulled into this one is the theme. I don't have anything like it. It's, you know, it's a different type of, you know, classic literature, whatnot. And so I don't really have anything that kind of pulls from, you know, that kind of feel for a game. I do think, what are we looking at? Less than 14 days now till this one launches. I don't know. Okay, we got a little bit more. There's a 48-hour early bird gift, so definitely if you're going to back this game, you want to do it in the first 48 hours. I am, like I said, on the fence. I need to see a little bit more of this game. Also, probably need to see a price point. There's a lot of things about this that are exciting to me specifically, and we'll get to those as we go through this, but you know, there's minis. Minis aren't always the biggest deal for me when it comes to games, but when it comes to a game like this, probably more important than other games. So, you know, it's got a 30 to 45 minute narrative play. That's not bad. 1 to 4, 90 to 120 for the showdown. So, you know, obviously probably gonna be longer than 2 hours, but we'll see what happens. But it's a boss battler, and I don't have too many boss battlers in my collection, so I always am looking at what I don't have, or what I don't have that is particularly something that does well in my collection, and try to find something that will come in and, you know, bring me into a different part of board games, get me excited about it, and, you know, then I can be looking at other games that are similar if this one doesn't hit. But we'll see what happens. Like I said, I might not actually back this one. This is one I'm definitely interested in. The art looks great. And this thing just, I don't know what it is about like component organization systems, but this gets me excited. Just having those, I mean, obviously this could all change the design work and everything, but you know, all those chapter boxes, how this all stacks in here, I love it. It just looks so cool. So, you know, that's probably, in some ways, the box has me more excited than everything I don't know about the game right now. But I do know it's like a 2-phase game. You're going to be going through, like I said, like a narrative, almost more like the crawl aspect, and then maybe like more of your boss battler, which will take up more time. But showing off some champions, I'm not going to get super crazy into this one. If we do cover this one on the channel, I will obviously go more extensive on this campaign. But just a lot of really cool stuff to look at. It's really hard on a lot of, like, this probably has more information on this game as far as what's on Gamefound than some of the other ones that I'm more excited about. So we'll go through these, just showing off kind of what's going on. But I do like the fact that each one of these, you know, chapters, these circles, whatnot, are in a different box. It just has a really cool feel. That's 1, 2, nope, 3. I'll just say the artwork looks fantastic. I mean, if this is any indicator on what's going to be on these cards, I'm super excited. And that's another thing that might pull me in. Because I don't have anything quite like this. I do believe, I can't remember who the developer is behind this one, but I knew they had something pretty successful the last couple of years that a lot of people said was really good. So that's an indication of how good this game could be. I definitely looking to check it out. And we'll leave it right there. The next one is also on Gamefound. I'm a little bit at least more familiar with the minds behind it. I don't think I know too much more than what everybody else knows on this. And this is Wroth by Chip Theory Games. It's a collaboration with Manny Tremblay. I do remember last year they did a live stream with Manny. Brought him on. I think he talked a little bit about the Tanglewood decks, but he got into this a little bit, and I remember him talking about, you know, the development process. I believe this is something he created with his family, with his kids, something that was accessible for, you know, I don't want to say children, but younger gamers, and had some area control mechanisms, some faction based and some dice drafting. So very interesting, very interesting. I think a lot of people were kind of hit and miss on like at least this art piece. I'm not. I think it'd be good. I do know it's by Chip Theory. Is that all we got on this? Not too much. A little bit more art. I do know it's by Chip Theory. I do know that this is going to be a very accessible price point. I would expect $60, maybe less. Probably maybe multiple. Depends on if they're trying to get this to the retail market. I do need some neoprene in my life when it comes to Chip Theory games. So I do expect that. Oh, the other thing that was very enticing is, you know, I know this was probably designed originally to be like a PvP game, but the fact that there's a solo mode is great, and there's a fact that you can play it cooperatively if it's a little cutthroat, and, you know, not everybody likes such a cutthroat game, so I like games that have adaptability. I mean, the best way might be to play one way, but that might be for 90% of the people. 10% of the people might enjoy it another way. Obviously, I'm just throwing those percentages. The next one I want to talk about, and this is why I kicked Dying Light to kind of my honorable mentions, was because I just felt like I had quite a few video game IPs. So the second, I guess this would be my number two pick. I haven't been too liberal on the numbers. I just want to talk about these games. They are exciting. Terraria, the board game. Now, I will tell you right now, I'm not familiar with this IP. I am a little bit familiar because I have friends that are much more into video games than I am. They do video game content on Twitch. They play this quite a bit. They have groups that get together. And I will say, I feel like something I've always kind of been excited about is bringing something that's Minecraft-esque to board games. And I know they've done Minecraft games. You know, Ravensburger has a few Minecraft games. I've played a few Minecraft games. But I will say this one looks, you know, it says dig, fight, explore, build in this cooperative tabletop adventure for 1 to 4 intrepid Terrarians. I've seen a few of some game shots of this, and I don't think this is going to be, as far as price point goes, hard to get into at all. I think this is mostly a cardboard game. I feel like from what I saw, it's just, you know, huge kind of layout exploration on the table. Looks very, very interesting, but we don't know a whole lot about this other than I think May 2024. I know for a while I think they were looking at March. At least I saw that date somewhere. So this is something we will be looking at in May. And chances are I will be covering this because I am intrigued quite a bit. I did go back and watch a little bit of like Terraria gameplay before I put this video together. So I wanted to, you know, verify that it was something high enough on my list to tout and say, hey, I'm interested in this game. The last one we're going to talk about is another video game IP, and we know very, very little as far as what the game is gonna be, but we can get excited because this is a huge IP that I, to be honest, also have never really dived into, but I do have friends that have dived into this IP considerably, and there's quite a few games. I believe the 4th adaptation they came out with like last year, and we are talking about Diablo, the board game. So full disclosure, I am very familiar with Blizzard. In fact, my daughter and I just played about 4 hours of StarCraft the other night, StarCraft 2. So I'm very familiar with Blizzard as far as a developer, but I never really got into Diablo. I had friends that got into Diablo. I got friends that got into Diablo in high school that played Diablo all the time. And I have friends now that play Diablo all the time. And they're not even the same friends. So that's how big I know Diablo is as far as the game goes. I know it's kind of like a, slash 'em up, third person, looter, building your character, getting high levels. I know, like, from what I hear, playing, the video game, you get to a specific level, you're kind of done for a while before they put out more content. I don't know how this game's going to go. Hopefully it's just, like, resettable and play multiple characters. But I will say, I'm excited for this one. I was excited when Elder Scrolls came out last year, the year before, when it was on crowdfunding by Chip Theory Games. This is another one by Glass Cannon Unplugged. And a lot of probably how I feel about this game will depend on how Apex Legends hits for me, if it, fulfills before the crowdfunding campaign. I believe, from what I've heard, don't quote me on this, but from what I heard, they are looking at maybe launching this crowdfunding campaign around BlizzCon. I know that they announced this around BlizzCon, but I think they are going to do some kind of event at BlizzCon probably for this. Who knows? I mean, the crazy thing about this compared to a lot of other video games is when you actually have Blizzard involved, in as big of a company as Blizzard is, they are going to be pushing this game from both markets. I mean, from both ends. You're going to have video gamers that are going to be trying to pull into the board game market, and then they're going to be marketing it to, other board game people like us. I'm not saying I'm not a video gamer, but I'm definitely saying I am much more a part of the board gaming demographic at this point. So, yeah, that is pretty much going to wrap up my most excited crowdfunding campaigns of 2024. Like I said, I don't want to go so super crazy and pick 10 out or whatnot. There's more games. I mean, like I said, I mentioned probably a few after I did honorable mentions as we went along. I know there are going to be games to be announced that are probably going to be maybe bigger. I don't know if they're bigger than Diablo, but bigger than a lot of these maybe that are on here. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But you let me know what you are excited about. That's why I do these. I want to hear from you guys. I want to know what I should be keeping my eye on. Generally, when we talk crowdfunding on the Discord, it's crazy. You guys know, I mean, we're pulling games from everywhere. Everybody looks at something different. Everybody sees something different. And I know that we're probably all just really bad influences on each other when it comes to crowdfunding campaigns, Something, I mean, I'm glad you guys let me know because I don't want to miss out. I feel like the last couple years, there's always been a few titles that have been like, when did that fund? When was that crowdfunding campaign? Obviously not so much in the last year or two. Now that I do, a little bit of crowdfunding previews, I try to keep an eye on what's happening on Kickstarter, Gamefound, BackerKit, whatnot. But yeah, I hope you guys have a fantastic day. We'll do some more stuff as far as some of these previews goes. Like I said, if there's stuff I'm actually interested in, we'll be doing a full preview once the campaign comes around. I'll throw some links down in the description if you just want to look at a few of these and do your pre-save and whatnot. But I will see you guys all on the next one. Much love.